Hello and welcome to News Centre. I'm Parikshit Luthra. The Union Government has tabled a bill that proposes a sweeping ban on online money games. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav introduced the bill in the Parliament today. The bill highlights that the proliferation of online money games have had a harmful effect on families, society and the economy, and calls for prohibition regardless of whether the games are based on skill, chance or a mix of both. The bill also proposes to constitute an authority for regulatory oversight. That's not all. The bill also provides an insulation to the government or the authority for any actions taken by them in good faith, but does not clarify anything further. The move comes as a body blow to the gaming industry, which has paid taxes to the tune of 22,000 crores to the government last year. The IT Secretary, while defending the bill, told us that the political leadership was clear about the need to act against online money games.
The number of jobs created are in their thousands, and the number of livelihoods affected are in their hundreds of millions. The industry itself claims that 450 million people play these games, many of whom are distressed. And I think parliamentarians, ministers and others who understand the distress of their constituents are very forthright in saying that this is a serious issue. So we have to balance. We have to balance between what is in the overall social good, and many of these people have talent and will find jobs in the legitimate gaming sector, which is being encouraged.
All right, I'm now joined by Aruna Sharma, former Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and IT, Robbie John, who is the CEO of Super Gaming, and Vidushpat Singhania, Managing Partner at Krida Legal, also with us. Thank you very much for joining us. Ms. Sharma, if I can begin with you, do you think this is the right step forward that the government is taking? Just a few years ago, we wanted to encourage the e-sports or the e-gaming ecosystem in the country. We wanted our citizens, our youth, to design games for the country, for the world as well. But will this now be counterproductive to that larger exercise?
It came as a shock to the entire industry, and I can appreciate that. Because if you say so, the same mighty ministry came up with the rules which defined gaming. And same ministry flagged it separately, what is game of chance and what is game of skill, so that the real money games and games of skill are differentiated from the game of chance. Now, when that kind of a differentiation was being talked about, they also talked about that the parameters will be worked out, and they encouraged the SROs to come up for absolutely the kind of doubts that were expressed for money laundering or for using it for the money being taken to the wrong cause and those kind of things. So it was very encouraging when the three SROs worked really meticulously to ensure KYC of those who are on board. All payments were made digital, and then they also demonstrated, because in the bill it has been stated that the results or the outcomes can be manipulated. So they demonstrated that this is not possible. The results cannot be manipulated. And it is definitely the skill which decides who the winner is. So that was the kind of track we were going. The first jolt, as everybody is aware, came with the GST with retrospective effect and putting the GST on all the money on the table. So all the industry had to go to the court and get the stay on it, so that immediate injury is not there, and that hearing, unfortunately, is still on. Not only that, an amendment was brought to the GST which enabled to sort of condone the retrospective effect, and it empowered both the center and state government, which nobody did. And to define which money of the GST is to be taxed, which has to be a goods or service. So money on table is neither goods nor service. With this, the state government started coming forward. You have government of Tamil Nadu who came up with a good regulatory system, a regulator, and the doubt which has been expressed in the clip which you have said, which is like a moral policing, that addiction will be there or people are wasting their money. So filters are there where you can put the number of hours you want to do, or you can also put the amount of money you want to play in your 124 hours of the day cycle, and red flags will be raised. And government cannot sort of decide on the behavioral pattern And, it has been mentioned that more than 40 crores of people of the Indian population, so which is nearly 1/3 of the Indian population, is indulging in the gaming. So what it is putting a ban on the real money games. So in the sense, it's a complete washout, not on the gaming industry per se, but the innovation. My worry is the entire innovation part of it, the startup part of it, is going to get hit. So I'm very sure when this bill will be placed in the parliament, there will be many voices who understand that through gaming, they are labeling it as a sin. Gaming is not sin. It can be an educating thing because it also put a spark into your senses of coordinating, deciding, planning how you can go about it, and it can be worked out. So gambling, you have an act where you get, whether it's online or whether it's on the shore, the government of India has come up with the powers which state government we used to object that no, we will have a centralized legislation. And now
Right.
with this kind of a negative bill, I'm sure the states may come forward with a note which they may not agree to what the central government is trying to interpret and put a complete ban on real money games.
Right. All right, let me get in Vidushpat Singhania also. Vidushpat Singhania, do you believe there is going to be a legal challenge to this bill? We're told, we spoke to Jayesh Ranjan, a top-level bureaucrat in the Telangana government, and he said a bill, a case related to online gaming is being heard by the Supreme Court, and the government has, in a way, preempted what the Supreme Court may do. Do you think there could be a legal challenge to this in the days to come?
So let me just clarify one aspect. The Honorable Supreme Court of India was hearing the matter, both regarding GST and the aspect of whether the state governments can legislate on betting and gambling, and whether skill gaming for money would come within the aspect of betting and gambling or not. That hearing concluded about a week back, and the judgment has been reserved on that particular matter. So as we speak, the judgment has been reserved on that. I take leeway from what ma'am has said, Dr. Aruna Sharma has said, that initially the government had thought about regulating this industry, and they had taken a laudable step of saying that we will recognize the self-regulatory bodies, which will then come out with regulations or checks for even for manipulative gaming, for cross-border, for KYCs, all the ills that have been highlighted at this point of time. So what the industry expected is further consultations with them to check and prohibit exactly these evils. Therefore, it has come as a shock. A prohibition has come as a shock. What the industry was expecting is a regulation, maybe a very strict regulation in discussion with them, but what the industry was expecting a regulation. Now, I take the point that the challenge when if the bill becomes an act, then the challenge is going to be on multiple fronts. One, whether the state governments have a right to make the law on betting and gambling, or whether the center has a law. It will further get complicated with the aspect that Sikkim already has a law for online gaming, and they allow for online gaming within the state. Nagaland also has a law for online gaming, and they have been in existence for a while. So whether that will be covered or not, or whether they still have a right to make a law on that or not. The second aspect will then also come in is what happens to horse racing. The horse racing has been traditionally been regulated and has been offered for licensed for the past 100 years. So what happens to that? And when that moves online, which is there on horse racing and betting horse racing is also there in kiosks outside the race courses, which are licensed. So whether they are covered within this bill or not, I think that's another significant question. I believe the lotteries are largely out of this bill because Lottery Act and rules are separate and largely not covered within this aspect. But these are really questions that will come up in court. Besides the fact of Article 19 challenge, that is the right of person to profession and trade, and whether these restrictions that the seeks to impose are reasonable or not.
All right. Let me also get in Robbie at this point. Robbie John, what do you believe when it comes to e-gaming companies in the country? There is a big worry in the industry that jobs will be hit, investments will be hit, and this will no longer be a sunrise sector. What's going to be the immediate impact on companies like yours?
I want to clarify a couple of things. One is that, from a bill perspective, the bill clarifies two things, which is good games and bad games, or the 1/3 that's kind of clarified as gambling or real money games. That's a separate category of the games that we make. I would like to say that the bill clarifies two things from our perspective, which is really saying that, hey, what is a video game and esports being kind of furthered by the government is really the key part of the bill from our perspective. Now, whether the games kind of are good or bad, that's not my job to kind of decide. But we've definitely seen what we wanted, which is a distinction between video games, which are played for entertainment, and games that are played for a financial motive. I think the bill separates both of these things out. I think that's really a big win from the video game industry, because people often confuse gaming and real money gaming, and that's kind of been something that we've kind of always highlighted. The next part of will jobs be hit and will that be there? I think the government secretary kind of clarified that there is enough scope in our gaming industry for an absorption of these jobs. I do agree with all of that, because India is a very, very large market from a entertainment for video games perspective.
All right. Let me go back to Ms. Aruna Sharma, and we'd just like to tell our viewers that the online gaming bill has been passed by the Lok Sabha. Ashwini Vaishnav, the Minister for Electronics and IT, spoke in the House a short while back. This bill has now been passed. It will go in the Rajya Sabha, and we expect the bill to be passed by Parliament soon. Ms. Sharma, it seems that the government is moving ahead very fast. It's likely to be passed in the Rajya Sabha, so it's not going to be long before this turns into law.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Because of the number is getting pushed. But I'm surprised to what they have called as a sports gaming. Does it mean that fantasy sports is becoming a part of it? I doubt, because sports gaming is entirely different sector. So in the sense, all these popular games, which the majority play, which you have labeled it as 1/3 and 2/3, I do not know how this classification is done as to what is sports gaming and what is real money game. Because gambling and real money game, skill game, a category one understands. But esports is entirely a different thing, where the skills is being done and no money is involved into it, and it's a pure sports which is graduating into the e-platform. So now all this gaming is involved, and as Vidushpat very rightly said, horse racing or rummy, which is popular as a club gaming on the tables of the clubs, which became an e-gaming, or you go into the other kind of games which are extremely popular, and definitely they are money games. One, it is going to hit the FDI very, very clearly. It is going to hit because the biggest things are real money games company. It is going to hit them.
Okay.
And it is going to hit their talent, as you yourself in the introduction has said. Yes, they will find their way in involving the new game, but what will be the financing module for that? Because the innovations are important. Right. I'm not so much concerned about the games played. I'm more concerned about the innovations involved. So yes, it will
most
come
concerned
through
about what
Rajya
happens
Sabha.
to startups and the innovation ecosystem. We've run out of time, but thank you very much to Aruna Sharma, Vidushpat Singhania, Robbie Chauhan for joining us. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, while defending the ban on online money gaming, highlighted its negative effects in the Lok Sabha. Let's listen in.
कई ऐसे परिवार है, कई ऐसे व्यक्ति है जिनको ऑनलाइन मनी गेम्स के कारण एक एडिक्शन हो जाता है, जिंदगी भर की बचत गेम में उड़ा दी जाती है। फ्रॉड और चीटिंग एल्गोरिदम्स ऐसे होते हैं कि पता नहीं चलता कि कौन किसके साथ खेल रहा है, और एल्गोरिदम्स ओपेक एल्गोरिदम्स होते हैं, हार निश्चय हो जाती है। फाइनेंशियल लॉसेस, माननीय अध्यक्ष जी, कई परिवार नष्ट हुए, एक्सट्रीम केसेस हुए, सुसाइड भी हुई।
Time for a short break, but don't go anywhere. We continue our discussion on the government proposing to ban online money games with Jayesh Ranjan, CEO of Industry Investment Cell in the Telangana Chief Minister's Office. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching News Centre. The Lok Sabha has passed a bill to ban online money games. The bill is expected to bring sweeping changes to online gaming as it seeks to prohibit all forms of such games. The ban will be regardless of whether the games are based on skill, chance or a mix of both. To take this forward, we're now joined by Jayesh Ranjan, CEO of Industry and Investment Cell in the Telangana Chief Minister's Office, one of the state's top bureaucrats. Mr. Ranjan, thank you very much for joining us. My first question to you, would you agree with the central government that there is a need for a separation between esports and real money gaming and online betting? Is the separation very essential?
So, first of all, I have said so on so many other platforms also that banning is not the solution. In fact, you are in a way throwing the baby out of baby along with the bathwater. There are many ways in which you can provide good regulation, robust regulation, and the timing of this decision of the cabinet is also kind of surprising, because on the one hand, the government of India itself had given draft guidelines, draft rules. In its states were also given lots of autonomy to decide how to regulate what are the games of skill, what are the games of chance. And we also know that there is lots of legal reviews going on. In fact, the Supreme Court itself is now hearing a batch of petitions, whether the government, be it the central government or the state government, do they have the power to ban or regulate or prohibit? And in a way, you have kind of preempted Supreme Court's hearing and judgment also in this matter. So I personally feel that banning is not the solution. And secondly, the timing of this decision, we could have been much more judicious about it.
Right. There are concerns about large-scale job losses. The industry bodies are saying that there is almost a valuation of 2 lakh crore that this sector has. Annual revenue generation is 31,000 crores. You've got 20,000 crores in direct and indirect taxes that are paid annually, and this sector is projected to grow at 20% compounded annual growth rate as well. This is a sunrise sector. Do you think this move will be a death knell for the gaming industry?
See, we have already seen, and there are evidences in many states, including our state of Telangana, that banning also gives rise to a grey market, a black market. There are currently also lots of illegal offshore companies, even domestic platforms, and who are currently also prohibited in many states. There is a ban on online betting, including in Telangana. But we know that they're operating with impunity. They are having their own networks, VPNs, and that also is a big loss to both the country, the state and the center. Plus, it also gives a sense of lawlessness. Like, even if you ban, I can find a way out, I can create something else. And as long as there is an interest of people to participate in these kind of games, of course, I do agree with the reasons given behind banning, that it causes, many of these games actually use bots, so you don't know whether you are playing against a fair rival or it is manipulated. There is underage participation, there is addiction, but there are ways in which these can be overcome. There is technology available today. In the earlier guidelines, which were issued again by the Ministry of INB, there were provisions that you have regulating bodies at the state level who check the veracity of what kind of gaming architecture has been created, and so on and so forth. Now, as you all know, everything has been kind of discarded, and the notion that banning will solve everything, that is getting imposed. As I said, in my opinion, this possibly is not the best or the most optimum solution.
Right. And when it comes to the states implementing this regulation, when it comes to online gaming or betting, especially betting activities, these are a state subject. Will state governments implement this law that is being passed by the centre?
See, of course, if this is a national law and the government of India takes a stand that this is a national subject, we have all the right to regulate, and it is given to everyone as a fait accompli. Possibly the headroom with a state to do something beyond that gets restricted. Of course, this is very sudden. This has come as a news to us just yesterday night and today morning. We are still reading. And obviously, there are many steps to go by. What has been decided in the cabinet will be presented before the parliament. In the parliament also, sometimes they refer these kind of bills to a select committee. There will be consultations, discussion. So possibly this is not the final version. But at least we know the intent of Government of India. And I still feel that we can distinguish between games of skill and games of chance. Even if a game of skill involves money, there is a way of preventing the illegalities or misuse which happens. And if you completely ban, as I mentioned, the gray market emerges, which is much more damaging to countries' interest in the long run. It also erodes the finances which justifiably should have gone to the government. So I guess there are multiple steps to still cross through. And at some point in time, if they consult the states or if there is a select committee which hears alternative views also, we will make these opinions and options known to them. And eventually, whatever comes as a national law, after that, I don't think there will be any great opportunity to deviate from it. But if the law incorporates the fact that states also are autonomous, they have a better judgment to understand about what's happening in their state. If they have technology prowess to prevent some of the misuses, then why not give that, delegate that authority to them? If the bill emerges finally in this form, and if the law comes in this form, obviously that will be something which will keep everyone happy.
Right. So when you say an autonomous view, why is this important? Currently, the central government says and authorizes central government officers to seize evidence, carried out raids without warrants, investigate, search, seizure. What do you think is the problem? Why do you think states need their own autonomy to regulate e-gaming and also online betting?
See, the thing is, you mentioned this. So as I said, as a state, we are definitely against online betting. There is no skill involved at all. So we have no issues at all if online betting is banned. But online gaming is very different from online betting. Online gaming, for instance, I mean, again, I don't want to name anyone, but I know of many online platforms where you form your own team. That team plays against another team, or when the actual team is performing on the ground, you compare your results with the performance of those players. And there is lots of skill. You do lots of analysis. You understand which bowler is in form, which batsman is in form. And then it's also very engrossing. I mean, if you're a cricket enthusiast, and obviously people like us, we don't play it in a very active way. We can only engage recreationally. This is a great way to think of how you, in your younger days, when you would captain a team, this is what you will do. That is the strategy that you will follow. All that gets recreated here. And of course, it's not that we are heavy bettors, but if there is some fees to participate in this kind of a game, we'll be happy to do so. So that is one, that it deprives many people of something which otherwise could have been a very great source of recreation and all that. The second is something which you earlier asked. I'm sorry I did not answer you directly, but this point is emerging now, which is job losses. So in Telangana, as you know, animation, gaming, VFX is a very important line of activity. The government has spent lots of efforts to promote this vertical. We are building one of its kind infrastructure of the country, which is called Image Tower. And I can tell you for sure, because I was directly involved in those kind of discussions. Many companies have told that we'll be happy to put our development team, our tech team in your city, because Hyderabad is a great technology hub. And we will do more and more and more, provided the government provides a conducive ecosystem. So there'll be job losses. There'll also be a loss of GST. I'm sure the industry associations might have also raised this issue, because we also as a state get a good amount of GST. That opportunity will be cut. So I do understand the concerns of behind banning. There are issues which are obvious. No one denies that these kind of things are not happening. But there could have been other ways of curbing it. And as I said again and again, banning possibly is not the only solution or the best or the most optimum solution.
Mr. Ranjan, thank you very much for joining us on the program. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of News Center. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.